This is definitely a test if anyone can hear me, because I still don't have access to YouTube. So if it is, it says it's streaming, but it's not looking like it's streaming. So I don't have access to the Mevo here. Let me see, I'm going to try to pull it up on the actual YouTube. See, I'm going to try to pull it up on the actual YouTube. Okay, it doesn't look like it's working. Later on, I'm actually going to try a true live stream. And I'm going to try to get the cameras to connect to the app on the phone, which is also connected to the YouTube. We're going to go over, I see one person is watching, we're going to go over this guitar. But this is the first time I've ever done a live stream. So I wanted to do a test to make sure everything is working. I really can't see the chat. So it says one person's watching. If that one person can actually type something in the chat and let me know if you can hear me or not, that would be great. Then I can send a message to the one person, Mike. If I can get Mike to come up. Now, I do see the cameras here. It's looking for the other cameras now. So I'm going to try to send Mike a message. We'll wait for, yep, I see you. Can you hear me? Is the microphone working? Got 3 watching now, so hopefully the microphone is working. I did a post earlier, and I wanted everyone to kind of see what I received. I've been in the hospital the past 4 days getting surgery on my knee here. And during that time, the guitar showed up, and I just came home from the hospital today and I unboxed it. So basically, this is made by Latitude, and you can tell that it is a copy of the Music Man guitar. The issues that I found with this guitar, if you look up here at the headstock, there's no logo on it. If you go to Amazon and look up this guitar, it says Latitude on a couple of the models. Now, my helper here on the channel, Mike, looked one up, and it did not have the Latitude logo, just like this guitar has. This one does not have the logo, so it does not say Latitude anywhere on the guitar. It's just not there. Has anyone ordered this guitar already? Anyone ordered this guitar? Because I do have some issues with the guitar. I do have it plugged into my line 6 down here. And I don't know how loud this is going to be. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. See if this actually works. So the pickups do work on the guitar. My main concern, I'll try to get the camera to show it. I've never done this before, so bear with me. If you look down the neck here at how the frets align to the neck. I'm trying to angle it. Now on ball end frets, they have to set the fret and press it in the neck. Perfect. The reason I kind of like the chamfered fret better, when you press it in the neck, you use a chamfering tool and you can chamfer these frets even to the neck. You can usually get a really good job doing that. What they've done on this guitar though, when you look down the neck and you sight down the frets are doing this all the way down the neck. So what they've done is when they're in here sanding these frets even to the neck, they haven't done it consistently. If you look down the fretboard, you can see where they've actually sanded more here, less here, more here, and you can see the chamfering on the neck. There's a huge chamfer right here, very little chamfer here, a lot of chamfer through here. And I can actually see gaps. I can put my fingernail between the fret and the fingerboard of the guitar. I can get my fingernail stuck there. So these frets aren't even pushed into the neck all the way. And when they've chamfered this, they've done a horrible job chamfering these frets into this guitar. It's bad. The next issue that I found with this guitar, and I was going to do a full review on it. When you plug the guitar in and you're playing it, if you strike the guitar very hard, it does have a good sound, I will say that. But I noticed after playing it a couple minutes, the gain would come and go. It was almost like the pickups it acted like an active guitar that the battery was going out on the pickups. It seemed like the pickup would start to die off. Right here, this is a little kill switch. Let me plug it back in. So what I think is going on when you're playing this, I think the contact in here is making a bad contact and it's losing gain. The guitar even sounds funny sometimes, like it has no output. You hear that? But when you strike it hard, you can hear the note rings. But if you don't, there's definitely something going on with the electronics causing that. Definitely something going on with the electronics. The finish on the guitar, and again, since we're doing a live stream, I can't do like I normally do on my guitar reviews, so I'll just go through the spots. There's a big piece of particulate in the finish right here. More particulate all across the finish across here. There's some kind of scratches and scrapes in the finish right here. More particulate in the finish here. And across here, there's little, I guess, pieces of dirt that got stuck in the finish. I can feel it when I rub across it. The body line, if I can get the light from the window to shine across that, you can see this line where the chamfer is. It's not a smooth chamfer. So if this was done on a CNC machine, they went back over this with an orbital sander, and they have not made this edge consistent on the guitar. The routing here for this cover plate is done very poorly. There's a lot of gouging and misfit of the plate to the body. I'm going to try to get close in on that so you can see it. The routing for the pickup holes right here as well, it's just not cleanly done. These lines aren't square and true to the pockets. They wave. If you look at it, it should be a nice, square, true fitting. And it is not. So this pocket in here isn't done very well either. I see Mike has joined us. This is very difficult because one, I can't hear you guys, and two, the monitor's over here. And when I did have the monitor on, there was such a lag and delay between what you guys were hearing and what I was hearing and what I was actually, when I speak, it's like 5 seconds later it comes through and you guys hear it. So it makes it very hard for me to interact with y'all. You're on a time delay. But I wanted everyone to see the guitar and the issues I was having with it. I didn't want anyone to purchase this unless they really like the body shape. The guitar is going to need a lot of work. The big thing I found with it, this is our truss rod tool. And I think I could let everything skate by. I've already bent one of these, so I don't plan on bending this one. I'm going to insert this into the truss rod. It should be firm, but it shouldn't be to the point where you bend the rod. It is not moving. Now I'm going to try to pull it this way, so maybe it's just stuck one direction. And if you can see, that rod is it is not moving. I'm going to try again the other direction. It should not be that tight. So we definitely have a truss rod issue as well with the guitar. And it's a shame. It's a really cool looking guitar. I really wanted to do a hot rodded version of this. When I saw it, it reminded me of the Music Man. I think it's called a Kraken. And it's like a $3,000 guitar. And I was like, well, how cool would it be to pay $300 for this, put another $200 in it, and have a really nice $500 Kraken looking Music Man guitar. I don't think this one's going to do it. The neck as well on this guitar is very chunky. Let me get my calipers here. You have to excuse me. I don't know if anyone can see that. I had surgery on my knee, so I'm a little disabled. So let's see how thick this neck actually is. It seems quite chunky. Right here at in between our first and second fret, we have 24 millimeters. So it's quite thick there. Let's check up here at our 12th. 26 millimeters. So it is quite thick. Our width at the top is 43 millimeters. And at our 12th, we have 52 millimeters. So it's a pretty chunky neck as well. I think with what they've done to this neck here, well, one, the truss rod doesn't adjust, but the chamfering job on the neck, when I look at the light here, I can actually see the chamfer in the wood part of the neck. And some people, I'm one of the people, I actually like a little chamfer on the neck. It gives it a nice rolled feel. But I can see a heavy chamfer here, very light, a little bit of a chamfer, hardly any chamfer. And starting right here, they really dug into the neck. And again, when you look down the neck, again, I can't see what I'm doing. It's not a video. If you look down the frets, I'm going to move the guitar back and forth, and hopefully at one of those angles it's going to show. It's like a wave. And that can only happen is if they've sanded too much. The chamfering tool, like right here, they've sanded more here than they have here. So they've chamfered the neck in a wave all the way down through there. And both sides of the guitar are doing that. So we have a very poorly executed fret job here on the side with this chamfering. The next thing, if you look at the top of the fret, and I'm using the light coming in, I'm looking at how the top of the fret is crowned. At the end of every one of these frets, I can see the flat spot. The flat spot does this, and it rolls down the side of the fret, where they've actually flattened the edge of these frets. The low E side is worse. I actually see a very flat spot on every one of these frets, all the way down. And you can see it comes around from the crown, flattens, and then you get about midway between the E and A string, you get a proper crown. From here to almost where your high E is, the crown is okay. On the high E side, right at the E and across, it flattens out. I don't think I have my tool. Let me see if I have my tool or something that we can use as a tool. This was just supposed to be a test, but it ended up being a little more than that. Actually need a fret rocker. I think that's downstairs. Yeah, I can see the bevel in that. It's just not good. I'm going to hold the guitar up close to the camera. Maybe you can see the edge of the fret that I'm speaking of. Let me try plugging it into the other amp here. I'm having an issue with this since I'm live streaming. My line 6 HX stomp and everything runs into this, which is all tied together. So let me turn this off. Now let's see if we can't get something through the other amplifier. It's very tall. I don't know if you all can see this crazy apparatus or not. And I think I have that unplugged, so I'm going to plug in direct. Turn the amp on. Not getting any sound. Not sure why. There it is. It actually has, I actually like the tone of the guitar. It does everything you want it to do. It has another reason I had it. The frets are very tall, very large on this guitar. Most guitar companies will say they have jumbo frets, and they're really not. This guitar actually does have jumbo frets on it. So doing any type of hammer-on, it's very simple to do. I have a Kramer striker with the same issue. I got it to move, but it's extremely tight. I think it'll break if I put any more pressure on that truss rod. It should not move that tight. I don't know if I hold the guitar up, if you can see the relief that's on that neck. There's a lot of relief on this neck. If I push down on the string right here on the 24th and I hold here, I'm looking, the gap between the, let's say right here, that's usually where I gauge it, between these two frets. If I fret the first note and fret the last note, that's 2.53 millimeters off that fret. I mean, I don't know if you can see how much that E string is moving. It's a lot. This neck has a lot of relief. More than I would feel comfortable playing with. The next issue that I was thinking when I first picked it up, some of these saddle screws are sticking out of the bridge. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's a pretty common issue on these lesser cost guitars. Some of the things that you can do on a guitar, I have found when the neck is perfectly parallel to the body, it has a funny feel to it. If you put some shims behind the back side of this neck and kick the neck this way and brought these saddles up, I think it would help with the harmonics as well. It just doesn't seem to. I'm usually pretty good at getting harmonics. This guitar seems like it needs a little bit more neck angle on it. like you can't dig into it. You can't dig into the string. So I think if you could put a little bit more shim here, increase the saddle, I think that would give you more bite on the guitar. All right, Mike is back. I didn't know that he disappeared. So that's what I've found with it. I'm going to try to get this. The kill switch does seem to work rather well. And it has gotten better since I've been playing with it. The first couple times I used it, there was a lot of static and a lot of noise, like the switch was dirty. And I'm trying to get the guitar to lose gain like it was doing. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't have it very loud. I don't want to, since I'm not recording, I can't fix it in post if I have too much gain. So is that loud enough? Can you all hear me playing? Can you hear the guitar at all? I don't even know if we're still live. Are we still live? It's perfect. I can't tell. This is basically what I'm using. I have one Mevo camera, and the battery's about dead on that one because I was just going to test this to see if it worked. And that's plugged into, it's connected, I think, to my Wi-Fi, and my phone is controlling it. And I tried to originally set it up through YouTube, so YouTube would post it. It didn't want to see the Mevo cameras because it wasn't technically connected to the computer. So this is the first time I've ever done it, so we're going to have to work out the bugs. The first bug I see is not being able to correspond with you guys. You can see right there I'm out of tune. So hard bending. I brought it back in tune. So that's telling me right here the strings aren't slipping freely. And again, I think it's hard to dig into the strings. But it has, the pickups do, that's the bridge. Let's go to our center position. think the center position sounds good. Let's go to our neck. A good sound. That's center position. Back to our bridge. So it does what it's supposed to do. That bridge cuts through. And you hear that it was a little out of tune, then it came back. Hear it right there. I'm not going to sit here and demo on it, but you get an idea on the sound. I guess my question to everybody is, at $299, with the fretwork that's on this guitar and how badly they've chamfered this. And again, I can't see the screen, so I can't tell if you guys can actually see. If you look right at the corner, you can see the chamfer. And it's not consistent. When I look at it at the light and I catch the chamfer, right here, there's hardly any chamfer at all. It's about a 32nd, 16th, 3/32, and then it almost disappears right here where they've sanded this heel. So that makes me think they've taken their thumb and they've sanded back like this across the neck, and they've sharpened that edge again. I can feel a peculiar lip right there. And when I run my hand down the neck, it just doesn't feel consistent. It could have, I'm not going to say every one of their guitars would be this way. That's kind of unfair. This particular instrument, whoever sanded the neck, maybe it was their first day. I don't know. I've never seen a guitar when they chamfered the frets, they cut into the guitar neck like that so inconsistently. It's very, very bad. I mean, I'm used to looking down the cheaper, ball-in fret guitars. Let's say Firefly is really, the last couple I've reviewed, are the frets perfect? No, they haven't been perfect, but they're getting very good at aligning those frets because they're cutting and doing that ball in before they're pressed in. So aligning those frets are difficult. In this case, if you're over a little bit and you're taking that tool across the neck, the point in that is to get all these frets perfectly in line with that neck. But what I'm seeing here, it's almost like they sat here with the chamfering tool and they worked the neck here, then they come over here and they worked. And as soon as they got the fret flush to the neck, they stopped. And then maybe over here they sanded too much and they've just added so much chamfer, it's cut into the neck. And I wouldn't have an issue with that. Like I said, when I take my thumb and I feel this chamfered rolled edge of this neck, it feels nice. The drawback is it's not consistent. So now the frets do this down through the guitar where they've sanded more of the fret into the neck and here less. Less, a little more, a lot less, a lot right through here. This is the worst spot. It goes less, 16th, 32nd, 16th, a little more than a 32nd, a little less than a 16th. So it's just not consistent. Our nut up here is doing the same thing. If you look at our nut, there's a gap between the nut and the neck. It's not set flush. It's set that way in the guitar. And if you look at the strings on the guitar in relation to the neck, I'm going to roll it back and forth because there is a perception difference called parallax. So if you don't look at it square and true, you can't get a true measurement looking at it. But the E string is set this way in the neck. And that's because this nut is set that way in the neck. It's not set evenly. And you can see it. Look straight at it and you can see the high E is set more into the guitar neck than the low E. Trying to think of all the problems that I found with this. The finish on the guitar, if this was a high gloss finish, you could definitely see it. I only have one studio light on. I'm going to turn on another studio light and maybe that'll show it up a little bit more. That actually might add more light to the camera as well. Let me pick a spot on the guitar and see if you guys can see it. Pretty prominent. There's a bunch of ridges right here. I'm going to move it back and forth. I don't know, it's a matte finish, so it's going to be hard to see it. But right in here there's a bunch of scratches and there's a bunch of particulate in the finish, right where my thumb is. All down through here there's particulate in the finish. Right here's a really, really bad spot right where my finger is. And that's a big chunk of something that landed in the paint. Right here, if you look at the bore holes with the washers holding the neck on, what you're looking for is you're looking for a nice clean bore. There's a lot of chip out in this bore. Where the drill went in, maybe the drill bit wasn't sharp, and it's put 5 or 6 chips in this bore. There's 2 chips in this bore, big chip in this bore, and this one's just out around. So it's just, as much as I really wanted to like this guitar and I wanted to do a nice review on it, I'm just seeing just too many issues with it. I don't know if you guys can see, there's just particulate everywhere in the finish. And like I said, this matte finish is hiding it. But I'm just going to point at the particulate spots I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm not even going to count how many little bumps are right through here. At least 10. It's almost like they didn't sand between coats. So what do you guys think? I don't know how many guys are here and my monitor cut off. Let me turn my monitor back on. And we can chat about this. many? We got 5. So I guess that's not bad considering we're doing our first live stream. So I'm going to turn and read the comments here. Mike says, I'm back, perfect. And the better half says yes. That's good. Sounds good. Volume balance is good. Yeah, between the pickups, I think the one thing the guitar has going for it is I really think the pickups sound good in it. If the truss rod wasn't stuck, I would probably keep the guitar. I think, well, I know I could. I could take this guitar and take the neck off of it. I could put this neck in a fixture, and I could chamfer this neck and put a 30-degree chamfer the way it should be, and keep this chamfer actually on the wood consistent all the way down. And it looks like I could be at, I'm going to guess, 3/64 of an inch chamfer on the flat face, and I could probably get that straight. And I could roll the back side of the chamfer into the neck, sand this part of the neck from here back around this corner, and alleviate the sanding error here. I could get that to happen. I could fix that. But I'm scared to lean on this truss rod, on this truss tool. This truss rod is just stuck. She's not moving. Oh my. It is stuck. Normally, I've only sent like 1 guitar back to Amazon, maybe 2. Normally, I try to fix guitars, and on the channel, I do it locally. I do local listings, and I'll buy these guitars, we review them. Sometimes the guitars are so good, you know, I only put a set of strings on them, set them up, and they're great. A lot of the Fireflies are that way. A couple of the Groats that I've reviewed were that way. This guitar, with the truss rod not being able to be adjusted, this neck moves. You can't fix it. You can't adjust this neck. In the state that it's in right now, yes, the guitar is playable. I could lower these saddles and the guitar would be playable. Even though when I fret here and I fret here, there's a good 2.5 millimeters there. There's a lot of relief in that neck. It's still playable. The question is, would it be playable in 6 months? It's new to this environment. So the neck's going to move. Would it move in the direction you want it to move? I kind of doubt it. Because right now I'm not actually tuned to E standard. If I hook this up to a tuner, I tried to cheat a little bit to get the neck to relax. So I'm actually at 1 step down. I'm on E flat tuning right now, like a lot of the 80s hair music. So I'm a half step down to take some of that relief out of the neck. If it wasn't for that, I think I would try to fix the guitar. You guys tell me what you think. Should I just lean on it? If I'm going to return it anyway, if I break the truss rod, it's broken, send it back to Amazon. You know, go ahead and just crank it and see what happens. I've already bent one of these. I bent the end over on it. So if I bent the first one, I think I need a harder piece of steel, something that's made out of a harder metal, something that's not going to... But it should have never bent that. That's... Or does someone have a trick? Maybe put oil in it? Does someone know of a trick? I'm going to read the comments here and see. Yeah, it's the factory worker. They might have put CA glue on the truss rod and then glued the fingerboard on top of it, and it's just stuck in there. What are the positives, Mike wants to know? I think the pickups are a positive. And believe it or not, the tuning keys on the guitar don't feel bad. They feel very smooth. I've tuned it back and forth a couple times when I was trying to set the guitar up to make it playable. The tuning keys I think are okay. They did put a full string tree on it. I think the pickups sound good. The selector switch feels solid. I mean, we're here, so we can open up the electronics cavity and let's see what's in the electronics cavity. The guitar already has issues, so let's check out the electronics cavity. Let's see what we got in here. Let me bring my little cheater stool over. I'm not sure if you guys can see the guitar on the stool or not. We'll move it back this way. Hopefully it is in camera. Let's see what the electronics look like. While I'm taking these out, Eric says, a bad finish is not a good thing to see. The finish on the guitar is bad. There's a lot of particulate in the finish. And believe it or not, with this body style, I don't think anyone else is making a Music Man clone. I could actually live with that. I could wet sand this down, since it's a matte finish, and polish it. Unless it's really bad particulate, I could probably get 90% of that fixed. The big issue that I see is the truss rod. Let's try to get this off here. The fitting on this cover is awful. Yeah, it's, there it goes. There's no shielding on the cover. So here's our component layout. I'm looking at it. Believe it or not, I was expecting to see a horrible mess. But a couple good things that I see, if you look at the braided wire here coming out of the cable, this is the shielded part of the wire that wraps around your center core. They have tinned that all the way back to the lining, so this doesn't fray. And they've done that in every location. So they have tinned all those connections all the way back to the shielding. Even this one, it goes right back to the shielding. And there's a decent sheen on those connections. I think the issue I was having when I first started playing the guitar with the gain drop, I think was in this kill switch. I think there was dirt in this kill switch. And looking at the bore, it's not looking like, I was kind of hoping this bore was about the same size bore that was here, and this upper button had a small sleeve that went through. So this bore hole here would be the same diameter as this one, and I could move the volume here and put a tone here. But looking at it, that is not the case. It is a much larger bore for that switch. So you would not be able to easily retro your volume up here. Your knob would hide it, so what you would have to do is you'd have to fill this hole, get it very smooth, and drill through your fill plate. The knob would hide the fill, but you would have to fill that and re-drill through. But the soldering itself actually doesn't look bad on this guitar. And like I said, I was not expecting that. I was expecting a mess. They've even tinned this one going into the volume pot. I'm not seeing any tone bleed. So it's just straight pickup right to the volume, to the selector, and out. And that could be why you get such a good sound out of it. There's less in the signal path. I think by eliminating this kill switch would probably help out a lot as far as that intermittent problem with the gain. Now the only thing we cannot test, this wire right here goes through right here. That's going over, and it should be under the bridge, creating a ground. I didn't have any ground issues when holding the guitar when it was plugged in, so I'm going to assume that that's okay. Let's see what you guys are saying here. So your striker moves freely and then gets tight and then moves freely again? Is that what I'm understanding on the truss rod? Yeah. When I purchased it, I did not realize that that was a kill switch. I did on the one that had like a wood grain with the black burst. And I saw this one with the fixed bridge, because this one is a fixed bridge. It does not have that awful Wilkinson tremolo that's offered on the other model. That Wilkinson tremolo is the same tremolo they put on the Leo James. And that tremolo is horrible for one reason. Every time you string that Wilkinson tremolo, you've got to make sure you don't mess with your intonation. The string pressure itself, pulling down on the saddle, is what locks the saddle to the bridge. I know that makes no sense, but once you have one of those Wilkinson 2-point tremolos that Leo James uses, exact same tremolo they put on this one, when you take the strings off, you can literally pick that saddle up and shift it. There's no rear screw like this guitar with a spring that holds that saddle. That whole saddle just floats in that mechanism. It's very peculiar. This version of that guitar, this guitar with that Wilkinson bridge, has that bridge on it. When I saw that, I said, "No, I'm not going to waste my time with it." Then I saw this one with the tool humbucker and the fixed bridge. I was like, "I'm going to order that." And then I saw, who was it? Guitar Max did a review on the guitar, and he was talking about the kill switch. And I said, "I don't think mine has that. I'm pretty sure it has a volume and a tone." And I went back at my order. That was before I went into the hospital. And then I noticed it only said it had a volume and a 3-way switch. But the Amazon, on this particular one, I posted a link on the description when I did a feed for the one, I wanted everyone to see the problems with the guitar before I did a review on it. If you go to the actual Amazon link, it doesn't say what this is on that particular link. But this link for this guitar, it says Latitude here. This guitar doesn't say Latitude. Now Mike, he found one that didn't say Latitude either, but two of their other models, exact same body style, but they changed the pickup configuration and the color. They do say Latitude on them. So it seems like this was just I don't know, there's a lot of things with this guitar that's just not giving me that warm and fuzzy feeling. Yeah, it moves tightly and then locks back up. If it's moving, you're okay. I have an older Peavey, Vandenberg, and the truss rod in that guitar always moved kind of jumpy. It like pops. It's done that since it was new. I've never had an issue with it, but when you're moving it, sometimes it'll feel like it's skipping. It's almost like you got to put so much pressure on, and when it finally does move, it'll move too far. But once it moves, it usually moves back the other direction pretty smoothly. But it'll pop forward, and then I'll put the gauge back on the neck and I'll push it back just a little bit. I do have that guitar with that. I do have that problem with that guitar. This one just doesn't move. I work on a lot of guitars, and this one's just, that sucker's stuck. That's not moving. That is, that sucker's stuck. You should not have to, if you've got a guitar that is that tight, there's an issue there. I mean, we're all trying to find a good guitar for a little, for an inexpensive price. I hate calling them cheap guitars, because I have some guitars, that cost a lot more money than these guitars. And I've bought a lot of guitars. Sometimes you can buy an $800 guitar and the fretwork is not good on them. Bad pickups. They just sound like, I have a Squier 40th anniversary. The guitar was close to $500. The fretwork is gritty. The pickups are, I'm going to say, average at best. And that was a $500 guitar. I've picked up, $1,000 instruments, and they play just great. I've picked up $1,300 instruments, and for me, it just wasn't it. The frets felt funny. It had high action. So I hate calling things cheap guitars. We'll say budget friendly. I have reviewed some Firefly guitars that were just phenomenal guitars. I had an E-Art headless on the channel. That was a phenomenal playing guitar. The pickups were okay on that guitar, but it played phenomenally. There was another one. We had a Valgoa headless on the channel with an HPL fingerboard. I think that was a $250 headless guitar. That was a extreme. I should have never sold that guitar. I still wish I didn't sell that guitar, but it was bought for review and it was sold. That's still one of the best $250 guitars I've ever reviewed, and it was a Valgoa from Amazon. This one I think is a miss, guys. I hate to say that. If you guys were thinking about buying it, I think for me, if I'm looking at the cost, I think this one's what, $299, and right now they have a $20 and a $30 and a $50 discount code. That's still putting it at $230. The pickups are good, the bridge is good. You're going to have to do something, even if you just bypass the kill switch and just wire direct. I mean, that doesn't cost any money. It's fixing the truss rod and the neck and the finish. If you're buying it to play out and play in bars, I think you're not going to be worried about the finish anyway, because it's going to get knocked over and beat on. But the neck on the guitar and the way it was sanded and the truss rod, there's just too many things on this guitar for me to say that it's well made. And it's a shame. I think they could have a nice guitar here if they just put a little bit more time in it. That's what I'm thinking they did. Undo Caraway, I believe is how you said that. They probably skipped tapping over the rod and glued one of the, to the fretboard and fused it to the truss rod. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think there's glue back in here, and it has seized it to the spoke wheel. Because I'm looking right here. I'm going to try to get it up in the camera. That spoke wheel is right on this neck. Usually it'll touch here and there's a gap back here. And when I'm looking in there, it's right on that neck. It is tight. If I could just get it to move 1/8 of an inch, that would be the thing. I think once it started to move, it would free up. It is definitely not moving. I'm starting to bend this tool too. The other one looks like this now. So this is my second tool. Yeah, it's not. It's stuck in there pretty good, guys. No, it is not moving. You're right. It is not moving. It is stuck really, really good. So I don't know what your all's thoughts on, if you guys ordered the guitar, is this something that you all would, as a consumer, would you keep it or would you send it back to Amazon? I'm thinking maybe a guitar tech would keep it because they really like the body shape. But I'm thinking with a truss rod like that, I think that this is definitely a guitar that should go back to Amazon. And I guess I should order another one just to see if they're all like that, or maybe I just got the really one. I'm hoping I just got the really bad apple out of the bunch. But I'm not sure of that. When I watched Guitar Max's video, there was a couple things on his video that I saw. It almost seemed like he was selecting his words very carefully because they had sent him that guitar. He didn't come out and say that it was a bad guitar. The only thing he said that the tremolo would not stay in tune. I'm a pretty good read of people, and being that I have monetized my channel a little bit, and I see how YouTube forces channels. Like eventually you guys are going to see an ad. I can't fix it. The only way I can go live on my videos, I can tell it no mid-roll ads. And I do that. No, do not put ads in the middle of my video. If it's doing it, it's not me. I tell it not to. But on this live stream, it did not give me the option. It said, apply how you want mid-roll ads to be applied. Now it said it gave me every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, and the least was 30. That's as far as I could go. So then I clicked on 30 and it said, do you want it to be spaced out by the viewer? So let's say you just joined in. Now this is how YouTube gets it. Well, they don't know if you're going to watch 30 minutes. So they throw you an ad. Now they can't throw you another ad for 30 minutes. But if you only watch for 5, they broke their contract with me because I told them every 30 minutes. But the ingenious part of it is they make it do that. That way, if every 30 minutes they ran an ad, everyone watching the live stream would lose the live stream. I see why YouTubers do what they do. Mike, he's one of the moderators here at the channel. He kind of sees behind the scenes on what the channel makes. So I can understand why Guitar Max and some of the other channels that have a lot of subscriptions, why they have to do the things they do. And we're really not trying to do that here. I'm trying to run an open, honest channel. I work hard for my money. I buy these guitars. And I don't want to review a guitar and then you guys order it and you don't get that. That's why at the end of all my videos I always say, if you bought it or you're going to buy it, come back, leave me a comment. How did your guitar come? Because it's not just me, it's everyone else that watches that video 6 or 7 months down the road. They can go through those comments and go, okay, the reviewer said this person bought the guitar, he likes it, this person bought it, had this problem, this problem, this problem. They can make an intelligent decision then. So if one of my subscribers have bought this guitar and they've had a completely different, they got a completely different product, one that functions and set up and is, done right, everything works, leave a comment or type something in here. Yeah, BK says all Latitude guitars on Amazon are currently unavailable. I wonder why that is. Mike and I just checked it earlier. Mike, did you have that when you were looking at Latitude earlier? Did it say that they were unavailable? Because when I checked it, I was speaking to Mike probably about 2 hours ago. This part of the live stream was actually not supposed to happen. The camera I'm using, I don't know how long it's going to work because the cameras I was going to use are in there charging. So there's not much charge left on this camera. So if the live stream dies, I may fire up the other camera. I'm really surprised this camera's going. This was just supposed to be a test to see if I could even get a live stream up and going. The orange was available. So has anyone here actually bought the guitar that knows or had an experience with this company? Like I said, it sounds, I think it has a good sound. And it actually doesn't, like I said, the guitar doesn't play bad. I did not check the frets, I'm just going by. The guitar doesn't play bad. If you could get some of the relief out of the neck of this guitar, get some of the relief out and put more pitch on this neck, add a shim back here, kick this neck back a little bit to get these saddles up a little higher, to give you a little bit more dig in back here, I think that would really, really help this guitar. Would it be the perfect guitar for me? Probably not. This is a pretty chunky neck on this guitar. That's kind of strange to have such a chunky neck on a guitar that definitely looks like a shred machine. It's pretty chunky. We mic'd the neck earlier in the stream. I want to say it was pretty thick. I think it was 23 millimeters up here and like 25 or 26 at the bottom thickness. I think it was 43 width and 50 something, 53 or 52 down here. Yeah, Mike has got the link right there on the one guitar. I don't know. I just wanted to post to everybody. I don't think I'm going to do a full review on the guitar. A review here, when I disassemble the guitar and I take all those measurements, it takes me about 3 or 4 weeks to do the reviews, those hour-and-a-half reviews. And Mike and I have been talking about how to detune those a little bit and still make the reviews good. The reviews are good because I tear the guitars apart like that and we go over everything. So I don't want to cheat the review. I don't think that this guitar is going to be worth disassembling since, one, the truss rod's not in a good condition. This is just a live stream for my subs. If you're thinking about buying this guitar, be warned. I've got a really bad one here. And if you want to take it upon yourself to order another one and try it out, the good news is it's Amazon. They will take it back. You just put in that you're returning the item. I've never had an issue with any return to Amazon, whether it was a toaster, a guitar, a pedal, something that I bought like a gauge. Most of these little fret guru things come from Amazon that I pick up. never had an issue with Amazon. I've never had Amazon really lose anything of mine either. Now they did ship this SR cabinet right here, and it looked like someone drug that thing down the street. It was in pretty bad shape, but it does function, and I kept it. So if you do decide to buy it and you have those issues, you can return it. There's no issues there. Yeah, the chunky neck. I thought about that too. And, you know, I'm one of those people, I love guitars. I can't not love guitars. I can look at that and go, wow, I could take the neck off the guitar. I'll put it on the machine, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the ridge of the neck. Okay, instead of the ridge being in the center here, this neck is so thick. I'm gonna move the ridge back to here, and I'm gonna run that ridge diagonally across the neck, and I'm gonna do an ellipse neck profile on this. I'm gonna fix the chamfer here, and then I stop and really think of the amount of work and time that I would have in doing this neck on this guitar. It would be a tremendous amount of work and a tremendous amount of time. The drawback to these budget-friendly guitars, we can make them play good. We can make these guitars, I can make it play, I don't know if you guys can see the Epiphone right here. Let me show you my Epiphone. This is a ridiculously priced Epiphone. This is a $1,300 Epiphone before shipping and before taxes. Can you buy a Firefly, and get it to play like this? I'm going to say you can. I've done it. My significant other's black Fireflies right there on the wall. It's a great playing guitar. This guitar plays great. The tremolo on this guitar is phenomenal. It's a Floyd Rose 1000. The selector switch, it feels really tight. I started doing a lot of reviews on a lot of budget guitars, and I think after I started reviewing some, I had to go back and start playing some of my better guitars to keep that frame of reference. You can feel this is a Switchcraft switch. It's bam, it locks. It's locked. It's a firm engagement. When you pass that point, it just flips. But it doesn't jiggle like some of the cheaper guitars. That switch it kind of flops around in there. It's a very solid switch. It's a good switch. You can feel it. You can hear it. It's a very positive engagement to that switch. The volume and tones, just extremely smooth feeling on this guitar. They're not so light feeling that when you hopped around on stage, they're going to move, but at the same token, they're not so tight to where you're not going to be able to roll that volume. So you've got to always have something to come back to. What is quality? Is this quality? The finish and fit on this guitar is great. And there we come back to for $1,300, well, it's actually going to be, in Virginia, our sales tax is high. So that guitar is going to run you about $1,400 with shipping. I'm going to show you a very old Firefly. Now, don't roast me, guys. I haven't played this in a while, so it's very dirty. This particular Firefly, for some strange reason on the forums, they want this one. This one does not have the ball-in frets. This is a chamfered fret guitar. This was the flame charcoal burst. The only thing I've done to this guitar, I did a fret rework, and I put the Pro Bucker Epiphone pickups and electronics on it. The switch on this guitar, it is a Switchcraft. It's not as good as the switch on that one. It's smooth, but it's not as good. But this guitar, in my opinion, the fret feel, this guitar has a better feel than the $1,300 Epiphone. The neck is fast. And when I do reviews, I have a hard time explaining fast. It just has a feel. The neck is quick. It has a nice rounded feel here. The guitar just plays really, really well. My point in all this is when you do all that work, if I take this guitar and I spend that much time working on the guitar, I have to turn around. I think we've reviewed over 40 guitars on the channel. I have to turn around and sell it. Unless they know you, it's really hard for someone to go, okay, he has a $190 Firefly and he's asking $500 for it. People are like, well, I'm not going to do that. And they don't understand. If you've watched my videos on leveling the frets, believe me, I speed through a lot of that stuff. I try to show everything, but a good, like, I think we just did a video the other week. I took an FFMN and I sold it locally. And part of it was he wanted a full setup on the guitar. He wanted the frets leveled, polished, you know, the tremolo edge, the knife edges on the tremolo done. He wanted to make sure the guitar functioned as well as it possibly could with all the factory parts. It was about 9 hours of labor, plus a set of strings. So it's a $220 guitar. I got 9 hours labor on it, plus a set of strings. What would you sell it for? It's really hard to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to sell this guitar for $400 because someone's going to go right to Guitar Gardens. Well, I can buy that guitar new for X. So we have to keep that in mind when we're taking these budget-friendly guitars and we hot rod them like I've done this one. This guitar here really needs a bath. It's been hanging on the wall for about 6 months. I haven't played it. It needs a bath. I don't know if that's showing up on the camera or not. But it's pretty dusty. Mike in the chat here, he has several Firefly guitars, and he can attest to the hit and miss nature of budget guitars. And that's why I like to come on and say, when some of these new products hit the market, I saw this when it come out, I was like, oh wow, that's fantastic. But they wanted $299 for it. So when I saw this one had a $50 coupon when I bought it. So this guitar cost me $250. But even at the $250 price mark, it's just not worth that. Not with the issues that this guitar has. It's just not. This is my opinion, guys. I try to be honest here. It's just that guitar is not worth $250. And it's not, if I had to build that guitar, even in the condition that it's in right now, I could not physically build that guitar and sell it for $250. That's not what we're talking about. Is it worth $250? Yeah, you can't build it for $250. But when you compare it to other guitars like the Firefly, I have two right here that I haven't even unboxed yet. If I compare it to another guitar from Firefly, or at the $250 range, you can get a Sonic by Squire. There's a bunch. Leo James, there's Grote. There's just too many guitars that you can get at the $250 price range that do not have the issues that this guitar has. So unless they can fix it, I'm going to say that this is a pass on this one. And that's why I posted, as soon as I got back from the hospital, that's just me, I came home and opened up a guitar box and said, okay, let's get back to YouTube. I had a conscience. I want everyone to know that I'm not here. I don't make any money on YouTube. I'm not here to put a link for the guitar for you all to buy it. That's not, people that watch the channel hopefully know that I'm honest. I don't want someone seeing it like I saw it and say, oh my gosh, there's a budget version of a Ernie Ball and I can get it for $300 full price. I can put $200 in that guitar and I can make me a killer guitar, and it'll, you know, I'll fix my Ernie Ball fix. This will be my Ernie Ball fix for a tenth of the price. It's just not going to happen with the way this guitar is. You can't do it with the truss rod being stuck like that. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to read the comments here and see if anything I meant. That was also how Guitar Max's was too. He assumed it was a beta prototype and that the average buyer would have planned on the headstock. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole video that Guitar Max did. I did not notice that his did not have the logo on the headstock either. It's hit and miss. If you guys go to the Amazon site and you look, some of them have it, some of them don't. I'm really not understanding that. Yeah, the finish on the Firefly guitars here, it says all the finishers in the day they're having. I love my Fireflies. I've only had maybe one or two Fireflies that had, I would say, blemishes in the finish. But I'm going to qualify what I say, because the blemishes that I found on those guitars, I would have found on $500 or $600 guitars. For the price point, Firefly knocks it out of the park on the finish. I don't know how they do it. Is it as good as that Epiphone here? No. There is a difference. If I show this guitar, the finish on this guitar is just on another level. The depth of the top and the way the top morphs and the way it's been polished and the carving on the top. This top, there's a lip, it kicks up. On the cheaper or less expensive LPs, you don't get that kick up on the lip right here. It comes straight across, and this ridge here, this raised lip, isn't as pronounced. This guitar has a huge pronounced lip on it. All those little things make a difference. If you look at the routing around that tremolo, it is just spot on. And this guitar, I'm pretty sure, is made in China. Yeah. It's an Epiphone. So Epiphone charges $1,300 for their access cut with a Floyd Rose. If you buy the Gibson version, the cheapest Gibson is $5,000. That's almost 5 times the amount of money just for the Gibson logo. I'm not sure if the new Alex license model is going to get the true book headstock, because this one is not. This is before they started really making the change. There's a little bit of difference in this book match top versus the Gibson. The newer Epiphones actually got the true Gibson mustache, headstock there. This is just a little different. But the finish on this, it's just top notch. And I'm going to say it's probably, when I look at Gibsons always have a problem right here. The stain always goes up on the binding right here. And there's always bleed in the binding. This one right here is spot on through here. Now, right here, I do see that binding bleed. Now, I pick on guitars that cost $300 and $400 that have that binding bleed. But here's a $1,300 guitar that has, I can see the red finish here, and then I actually see like an orange stripe and then the binding. And that orange stripe is because that color that's in that finish is on top of that binding. They did not take their razor blade and scrape that binding back to the finish to get you a nice clean edge. And that's on a $1,300 guitar. You can see it's better right here. But it's not crisp. It's not crisp until right here. This is the only crisp spot. Now I'm starting to see that red line again. I know a lot of people say that I'm very critical, but I'm critical because maybe you're one of the people that's very picky on finish. You're buying the guitar, you're buying this budget guitar because you just want the neck and body. You're going to rip the tuners off of it, you're going to rip the the electronics out of it, you're going to put all your own stuff in it. So you're buying the neck and body. So I tear the guitars apart and I go over all the little contours for those people. I try to measure the pickup cavities on my later videos for people wanting to do that. It becomes down to how much you're willing to spend. I think that you can get a nice guitar, for $400. You can get one of these Fireflies, or even what's that new guitar, Solar, the S by Solar. I've been looking at some of those, $350 with a Floyd. It comes down to how much you're willing to spend on the guitar and how much work that you want to put in it. If you put that much work in this guitar, can I sell it and get my time and money back? And I'm going to say no. It's just, this one's not worth it. I have to look at what's best for the channel. If one of the subs wants this guitar, I will keep it and we will try to fix it. But unless someone steps up and says, yeah, I want it, this thing's going back. I can't, me personally, I can't see putting the time in the guitar. I don't know what your all's thoughts are on it. I think there's too many products out there. And again, we're coming back, it's $250. That's all I paid for it. There's just too many products at the $250 mark that are better starting platforms than this guitar. If we can get a guitar at $250 that does not have these issues and the bones are good, that's what you want to start with. You don't want to start with a guitar that the bones are bad and a lock truss rod. That's bad bones. You don't want to see that. So I'm hoping that people that didn't come in and watch the live stream, at least that notification got to them on what I found on the guitar, and they'll make a second. They'll at least have something to go by before they pull the trigger on Amazon on this particular guitar. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to say that Zeke 1970, unmatched on YouTube. I try. And every time I post one, especially the ones I've been doing that are an hour and a half, when I'm watching YouTube load it and it takes 6 hours for it to process it to 4K, I'm sitting there going, yep, I spent 4 weeks doing this review, and I'm really hoping people understand that this is an hour and a half review on a sub $300 guitar. So I'm kind of hoping that people get it. It's not, oh, it's a great looking guitar and they play a couple notes on it and that's it. I'm trying to do something different because I went to YouTube when I was like, well, what can $200 buy me? And I started looking on YouTube and I started seeing these reviews, and they wasn't telling me what I wanted to see. I wanted to know how thick the neck was. What kind of pickups? What's the solder joints look like in there? Is the neck straight in the box? Did the box look good? How's it packed in the box? And so I started doing my first reviews, trying to do what I wanted other reviewers to do. So hopefully we've got a select group of people that like that type of review, because I do enjoy doing that type of review. Yeah, I think I've got a couple videos that have done really well view-wise, and then I've got some that have really tanked view-wise. I think my best video right now was the Firefly, the purple black strat. I think that review is up to like 1,500 views or 15,000 views. I think it's at right now. I think it's 15 or 16,000 views, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, when I see reviews like that, that's what makes me go,